And welcome everyone to our community call for the week. So we have three agendas for today. First one's going to be regarding party DNA for the transparency reports, where Nelson from PNF will be discussing the details and will also field questions from our community regarding this reports. Afterwards, we're going to have our guest from Pocket Network Inc. or Portal. Danielle's going to be on to speak more about the marketing efforts from the Portal side, both in Q2 and beyond. And then third, we're gonna have additional updates regarding the Community Hub and Ambassador Program. So I will be providing that, and depending on the time as well when we get there. And then we'll get on with that. So looks like someone couldn't hear that. Can everyone hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, good. Yeah, just probably wanted to just check if you're on, you don't have mute on somehow or some of your speakers. But all right, so without further ado, I will pass it over to Nelson. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ming. And yeah, hey everyone, how's it going? Okay, I'm gonna try and share my screen here. Cool. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, so I know I'm not usually on these. Yeah, for context, it's pretty early my time, but decided to get up early to walk you guys through the transparency report. And yeah, excited to do that. So, I mean, yeah, really to kind of give everyone a bit of context to why we do these transparency reports. As some of you might remember, and we kind of outlined some of this in the forum post when we sort of came out with the sort of new foundation of the future proposal. One of the things that we talked about in that proposal was putting out quarterly accounts to give more sort of transparency on what we're up to at the foundation, both from like a strategic level, but then also from a financial level, what that means for our assets and how much we're spending. And the goal of the transparency report, obviously the accounts, it's very deep in the weeds. It's a lot of data. The transparency report aims to give more of like a visual representation of what's happening, something more digestible, and then also something that can talk a little bit more about what we've been doing outside of just the financial. It's like what have been the strategic goals and what have we been achieving over that past quarter. And so I'm going to try and run through some of like the highlights, and then I want to stop and have a little bit of time for questions. People want to double click on things that are in the report, or if they have just general questions about what we're up to at the foundation. Keen to chat a little bit about some of that. So, and I'm also going to try and touch on maybe some of the points that people have sort of had questions about or sort of hinted about, and we can go a little bit into it. So I think at a high level, over the first quarter at PNF, there's been definitely a sort of setting up process as we've sort of only really gone into effect in sort of January with the new foundation. So a lot of that's been laying the foundation, so to speak, of where we're going. We've been working on sort of putting in place a number of different programs, and then also just setting up a bunch of different changes which will sort of really establish us for the future, such as Wrapped Pocket, which is sort of in the works at the moment, which I know some people are excited about, decentralizing the gateway. And then also in the past week, Jack put out the road to revenue piece, which is something that we're excited about and think is really important moving forward, which will be sort of ongoing, but we do see as like a critical sort of thing for the whole ecosystem. One of the things here, so over the past quarter, we actually grew PNF's assets pretty considerably. It is worth noting that I think one of the reasons for this is that we've taken a pretty conservative approach to funds that we have on exchanges and with market makers. And so a lot of this is assets that were still in our control, but we were being very conservative given it was on exchanges and with market makers. One thing I have seen some people asking is, did we gain assets from market makers because we stopped using a market maker altogether? No. PNF is still working with a market maker. We have changed who we're working with, and the agreement that we had. And the way these sort of market makers work is usually you can have retainer agreements or you can have loan agreements. So we did recover some assets in the process of sort of changing that setup. In terms of the operational budget, we spent a bit less than we anticipated. A big part of that was from sort of people onboarding in sort of phases. Some of us sort of only really starting halfway through February. So we did save some assets, some spending there. And yeah, I mean, moving forward, we have some, we're looking to make a new head of marketing hire and also bringing on a PR firm, which will boost some of our spending moving forward. But we do feel like this is important looking ahead to PNF and the ecosystem, as we do think it's really important that we raise the sort of profile of the whole Pocket community, and we think it's it's worth doing. And so I guess in highlight, there's a couple of like key things we're sort of thinking about, or we can put it into these buckets. The first is establishing a legitimate PNF. A lot of this was sort of more operational and changes that had to be made. Nurturing the DAO's independence. As some of you have probably seen, Jack and Ming have made some changes to the forum, and then we've also changed ownership. So from some of these channels from PNI to PNF, and really sort of trying to change some of the sort of way we run some of these like public comm stuff. And then the other thing is we've begun some of these sort of PNF's grant programs. I think while it's sort of it's a gradual start, we've been ramping up some of these sort of grants programs. I think and we can go into this a little bit later, while we probably would have liked to distribute more grants over Q1, there was a reality that we did have some grants drop out at the last minute. We weren't able to dispense as much as we would have liked, but grants are a sort of core part of our strategy. And as we talk about in Pocket DNA, it's all about scaling through the community. And so as a result, if you have things you want to build or that you're building, do come chat to us because we're looking to make those grants. Cool. And so some of this stuff you've probably seen in the forum if you've been following what we've been up to. So Pocket DNA has been an ongoing project that's been happening, and stuff's being shared in the forums. But a lot of what it's really been about is about sort of listening to the community, trying to understand what the Pocket community is about, and then helping to use that to set out goals for the foundation and for the whole community. And so through that, we've really come to the conclusion that our sort of key values are unstoppable, open, and data being what we sort of serve. And through this, there's like a few key sectors that we need to think about at the foundation and as a community, really, which is to truly sort of open up the ecosystem. It's about decentralizing demand, decentralizing supply, decentralizing capital markets, and decentralizing governance. And so within those, we've got some strategic projects we're focused on to try and achieve some of those goals. So I think as a whole, Pocket's purpose is to provide unstoppable open data to enable a future where the world's most important digital infrastructure is governed by its users. And so some of these kind of key strategic initiatives that I was mentioning, V1 launch, obviously that's been a North Star for I think the whole community for quite a while now. I'm really excited to be closer to that point. Protocol revenue, obviously as sort of Jack's piece this week went into, again, really critical for Pocket. Pocket's brand, that's something we really want to work on and invest in moving forward. Well, we're always working on investing in, but I think that's something PNF is strategically looking to focus on as well. Healthy culture and governance, and then utility and liquidity of Pocket. And so that sort of feeds into our bags that we set, and these are essentially our like big, hairy, audacious goals at the foundation. And really, these kind of touch on it's the same sort of 5 things that I've mentioned, but trying to give like concrete metrics on what it looks like for us to be to achieve these things. And so here we kind of break it down. We have these strategic projects for each one. V1 is the most successful new protocol launch ever. Pocket has 1 billion of annual protocol revenue. Pocket has the most trusted infrastructure brand in crypto. Pocket has the healthiest culture and governance of any DAO. And Pocket has institutional financial rails expected of a blue chip token. So these are kind of the key focus areas for us across all the different categories. And then within that, you can see here we have some side projects that we're working on to achieve some of this. And so, yeah, whether it's sort of grants, whether it's Wrap Pocket, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is about how can we make sure that Pocket is sort of connected to liquidity, be that make it easier to access centralized exchange liquidity, being an ERC20 token, or whether it's tapping into the Ethereum sort of DEX community by having an ERC20 token and tapping into source of liquidity that we haven't traditionally had in the Pocket community. And then also, I think, one of the key things here is sort of establishing this marketing function, so we can get our message across more clearly and really try to amplify the voice of the community as best as possible. And another one of these key sort of initiatives has been grants funding. As I mentioned, so we did actually dispense some grants funding over the past quarter. And we were under budget on grants, which is something I did mention. But this is a process of us sort of ramping it up, and we do think we'll be giving out a lot more in the second quarter. And then this is again just touching on some of those kind of key metrics. As kind of expected, I think probably biggest cost has been personnel costs and one-time ecosystem costs. For context, one-time ecosystem cost is mostly custodians, so in the form of a current custodian, and this is just the use of funds in Pocket terms. Cool. And then here kind of just gives some numbers to where everything's being spent. So we tried to go quite into detail about where funds were being spent and give full visibility. Here's a bit of a breakdown. As you can see, we were under budget in Q1. And we've also provided a bit of a projection for Q2 on how we think we'll be spending. And then, we also have in line sort of within the accounts, we also talk about the Q1 budget, what we sort of said we'd do, and then how maybe we've changed our thinking on some areas, such as these new hires and any other sort of strategic initiatives we're focused on. So I'm going to pause there for a second. I know I've said a lot, and give anyone a chance to jump in with any questions, or if Jack or Ben want to jump in with any sort of clarifications, feel free. Cool. All right, everyone. Well, so that's really it for PNF's transparency report.
All right. No other question. Last chance. No other question. Not. We will move on to our next topic agenda, which we will bring on Danielle. So go right ahead.
Connie, man,
You're muted. Oh, yes, I am. Thank you. I was just taking Ming's lead. How's everybody doing? Thank you very much for having me. I'm just really excited to join my, I should say, speak at my first community call. But I've been sort of listening in the background for the last month and a half, 2 months now. But really appreciate Ming and the rest of the crew for letting me chat with everybody for a bit. So let's see. I got this pulled up. I got some slides. Although I will say I need to work on my my meme game because right now it's non-existent. Oh, let's see. How do I do this? Let me shift over here. Here we go. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. So yeah, we're gonna keep this short and sweet. I want to give you just a little bit of insight into for the marketing team on the portal side of things, what we're up to for Q2, how we're going to get there, and then how you all can sort of join in and be a part of this. But first, I want to. There we go. I want to just be like super clear about some what I think is shared principles between both the foundation and the DAO and the portal team, and specifically the portal marketing team. The first is like point blank, we are the pioneers of decentralized infrastructure. And I mean that Pocket Network, the protocol, and the larger ecosystem, that we should be proud of that and be loud about it. The second is the more people that see Pocket Network, the protocol, the DAO, as Nelson just shared, like this community, this larger ecosystem already feels like this. But the more people outside of that see Pocket Network as the leader driving the entire space forward, the better. And then the last one is that we can't get there alone, that we're all part of the larger Pocket Network ecosystem. The portal team is just one piece of that. And we're really excited to see how everything that we're doing on the marketing side trickles back into the larger ecosystem. And I know I've already spoken with Jack and just actually today with Ming and some of the other crew on the PNF side that about how we can make sure that those things are the efforts that we're putting in, that there's value that's trickling back into the larger ecosystem. So one team, one dream sort of vibes. So specifically for Q2, for the marketing side of the house, this is Sean and Ari and Dino, who are excellent and work incredibly hard for us to try and achieve this. But Q2 is all about foundations and consistency. We've set an objective that you may have seen in the update that Art shared last week, but our objective is to establish a predictable marketing engine for demand and community growth. And this word predictable is super important because it allows us to get to a place where we can move at scale and that we can be confident that we're going to be continually driving the same amount of value and or more every single quarter. And really like the first principles that are in my mind as we think about going to do this is one, we want to create a space for developers to collaborate, innovate, and build, and specifically give developers that room to work together to achieve their goals and their own visions for products, dApps, whatever they might be building. We want to empathize. I consider empathy to be a secret weapon, and we want to use empathy to understand and know Web3 developers deeply. We want to feel the things that they're feeling as they're building and as they're going through these journeys, from the very beginning of a project all the way to scaling it and having it blow up. We do that through setting the foundations for scale. So if we want to move really fast, well, at first you got to start slowly. I sort of like the analogy of a drummer. If a drummer is going to get into a really, really high cadence, they don't just dive right into it. They start really slowly and they build that momentum, build the rhythm, and that allows them to move faster. And that's what these foundations are setting us up to do. And then we want to share and amplify developer stories. So developers come to Pocket Network, they use the portal for communicating back and forth between a blockchain, but they're building something greater than that simple passage of data. And we want to be able to tell those stories to the wider world. I broke up how we're getting there into two sides. First, on the portal demand side, these are sort of paraphrased of the specific objectives within product marketing, within content, within design But this is sort of the general gist of what we're getting after. Right now, in the last month and a half, I think we're talking to more users, more customers, more developers than we ever have before. And specifically having those one-on-one conversations about what their experience is like, what are the challenges they face, and learning and hearing about their stories. The second is naming the problem and naming it publicly and naming it in a way that resonates with the readers who happen to also be developers. And that's frankly, decentralized infrastructure it's a bad rap. People think it's not reliable, it's too expensive, it can't scale. Hence why going to centralized providers that we all know. We're producing content that is not only driving sales conversations, so accelerating those conversations, making it easier for our sales team to progress from just a simple outreach all the way to a testing mode, getting them to actually using Pocket Network, but also addresses the challenges and ambitions of the developers building. And again, this is part of like telling developer stories. We also want to we want them to see themselves in the stories, in the challenges, and in the solutions that we're providing, or rather that we're producing. And the last is boring stuff, the basic infrastructure that we need to scale. So this is sort of like the tooling, it's the analytics and tracking ability, and then it's the website as well. So love the new Pocket Network website. I think it looks beautiful. Kudos to everybody that got that done in record time. Now the portal needs a refresh as well. And so that's the sort of boring stuff that we need to do in order to scale through Q3 and beyond. On the other side is the developer community. And I've mentioned listening and talking to developers more than we have. I've mentioned that we need to be telling their stories. We also want to give them a place where they can come, learn, collaborate, build together that they may not have right now. And specifically around the decentralized developer ecosystem that we hope begins to change this perception of decentralized infrastructure to a place where those that are building in Web3 that have that Web3 ethos, the values around decentralization, now they no longer have to make these trade-offs between, hey, I want to scale, I want this product to succeed, but frankly, the best option I have is going with a centralized provider, even though that sort of makes me sacrifice some of my values that I set out to do. That's how we begin to change this perception. And this ecosystem is bringing the larger community together through specific channels that I'll mention here in a minute, but then also through events. So InfraCon has been was wildly successful the last couple times that they've run it, or that we've run it. We want that to be a sort of lightning rod event for the entire decentralized developer community, both that is currently using Pocket Network, but that will be using Pocket Network in the future. And then around the partnership side, the way that we begin to change this perception is not only through thought leadership and getting the voice out there and telling our story loud and proud. It's also about finding other technologies that have committed to this same value and bringing them together in order to go to market with a single voice and a single narrative that everyone pays attention to. And so we've already begun to have conversations with some of those technologies. And I want to say, if not in the next couple of weeks, definitely before the end of the quarter, you're going to see a lot more of groups of technologies coming together around this narrative. Decentralized infrastructure is now scalable, it's now reliant, it's now performant, and it's ready and accessible for developers that are trying to build the future of the open internet, of Web3. And at the core of this is, as I said before, Pocket Network is the pioneer of decentralized infrastructure. So at the core of this ecosystem is always going to be Pocket Network. So how can you join in? We've already launched our first 5 meetup groups. I think I can drop the link in the chat once I get out of the screen share. But it's we've launched 5 meetup groups. First 5 are Bay Area, Miami, New York, Paris, and Seoul. We've already got another set that we want to launch fairly quickly, and I'm really excited because we're going to be working with Ming and the community hubs for the larger Pocket Network ecosystem, and be using these meetup groups as a way to sort of amplify all of the different events and gatherings that that Ming and the rest of the community is going to have. We've launched or soft launched, we're getting it ready, the Medium blog dedicated to decentralized infrastructure. This is going to be the content's going to be published there will be not only from our team, but also from these other technologies that are joining this coalition. And then the Portal Discord, which I think you may have seen in the update that Art shared, but then also earlier today and attached to the description of this call. We've launched the Portal Discord specific for developers building and using the Portal platform for RPC. So I hope, and I actually wanted to try and do a poll, but I hope that there's some developers here on the call, and that you'll tell those other developers that are already in our community that this Discord is meant for a place for developers to talk about what they're building, collaborate, learn, grow, share, and then also get get support for the Portal platform. And then coming soon, just like sort of teeing things up, we probably will get to a place where we're going to launch a Discord forum. There's Portal dedicated docs, and then obviously the refreshed website that I mentioned. So that's just the few ways you can get involved now. And I hope that I can join maybe a little bit closer to the end of the quarter to talk about how things are going, and hopefully share some exciting news. That's all I've got. And yeah, pause there. Questions. I would love to hear thoughts, feedback. Let me know what you think. Thanks, everybody.
And feel free as well to type the question in the chat
Yes.
if you're able to speak.
Sweet. Knocked it out of the park. Love it.
Perfect. All right. Hey, if nothing else, we do have Jack on the call as well. So he also would like to speak a bit regarding PNF and the marketing aspect. And so, yeah, whenever you're ready, Jack.
Thanks, Ming. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be useful to provide an update on the PNF side on how we're thinking about marketing and how our marketing efforts are going to complement the amazing work that Daniel and his team at PNI are doing. We do have a forum post all about this coming out in the next few days, but I'll just give a teaser on this call and create an opportunity for people to ask questions. So yeah, as Daniel said, PNI is focusing their marketing efforts all around the Portal product, which is currently the sole gateway to Pocket. If a developer wants to use an RPC endpoint, they need to go through the Portal. So they're focusing on selling the Portal product and building a developer community around it. I'm quite excited to see that become a vibrant community because, yeah, I think some of what he mentioned there, like developers talking about what they're building, the types of apps that they're working on, and so on. That's something that we've not seen so far, really, in the Pocket Network ecosystem. So, yeah, it'll be exciting to see that given some love. But yeah, where does PNF fit in? So we're looking to build a marketing function that amplifies the ecosystem as a whole. Where PNI is focusing on the Portal and selling the Portal product, we'll be looking to spread awareness of what Pocket as the ecosystem as a whole is doing. That includes things like protocol developments, things that the DAO is doing, the growing protocol revenue once the road to revenue is started, things like the launch of Rat Pocket and so on, stuff that the PNF and the DAO are taking ownership of. Our goal, as Nelson mentioned, as we've outlined in our thesis, is for Pocket to become the most trusted infrastructure brand in crypto. That means developers recognize Pocket as the most reliable, performant, and cost-effective option. It means crypto industry members recognize our DAO as having the best culture and governance of any DAO, which would help to attract more builders to Pocket to join our DAO and to help our mission. And it means raising awareness of everything that's going on in the ecosystem to help reinforce the legitimacy of Pocket and the trust that the whole industry has in Pocket. So that includes shining a spotlight more on all the innovations that are happening in protocol development and V1, shining a spotlight on what our DAO is building, what all of our community members are working on, the fact that our protocol revenue is healthy and growing, and so on. It may not have been very apparent, although I think in recent weeks it probably has been, that we've been laying the groundwork for this to happen, for us to have more, for the foundation and for the DAO by extension to have more autonomy over Pocket's brand, IP, and marketing. We took ownership of the website and we pushed a simple update to the website, thanks to Ritesh from DGen Design and Jinx, aka the Poctopus, for helping us with that. It was a pretty tight project. We had about a month just to completely change the update the copy, the design, etc., and rewrite it from the ground up. So yeah, and there's many more updates to the website planned. We're also in the process of upgrading the Discourse forum. Very simple update. Most of the stuff that's changed has been on the back end, but that does unlock new functionality for us, and we're planning some updates to the design and UX to bring it closer to the look of the website and make it a more polished experience, because it does look a little bit janky at the moment. We also took ownership of the official Twitter account, and we granted Pocket News right access to the account so that they can engage and amplify the community more. And we do have some more PR in the pipeline. We've got Messari planning to do quarterly reports starting in July, which should be pretty good timing if we can push forward with things like the road to revenue and all the various projects that everyone in the ecosystem is working on. And yeah, while we want to lean into the community to build and spread all of these narratives and the reputation of Pocket from the bottom up, we have, per the thesis that we just published, we've decided that a foundation-led marketing function would help to maximize the effectiveness of all of these marketing efforts. So we've allocated $300,000 of the foundation's budget to marketing. We are hiring a tier 1 PR firm to generate media coverage and thought leadership to help build Pocket's brand awareness and trust. This is things like being featured on high quality technical podcasts, being featured in top notch crypto media, and ultimately with the first priority of rebuilding Pocket's brand from the ground up with key technical influencers and industry members in crypto as a starting point to then spread more awareness and continue to reinforce the brand. We are also, in addition to the PR firm, we're in the process of hiring a new head of marketing for the foundation, who will be responsible for developing and executing on all the different marketing strategies that support the ecosystem as a whole. And we do have budget set aside as well for marketing opportunities like campaigns as we come up to V1 launch, Rat Pocket launch, exchange listings when they happen, sponsoring events, all these ad hoc types of activities. So yeah, very exciting. We're going to be being a lot more proactive about marketing moving forward. And yeah, like I said, we've got all of these plans are going to be published to the forum in the next couple of days, so you'll have a chance to provide some feedback there. But yeah, this call is also a space to provide feedback. So with that, I'll stop talking and I'll give people an opportunity to unmute and ask questions.
Does anyone have any questions? I don't think there's any questions on the message side as well. So, all right. If not, we can then move on. So, last part of it is it's going to be about the regional community hub as well as the ambassador program updates. So, I'm going to see if I can actually share my slide. I hope. All right. And then I'm going to. Go. I think this is how I do it. Which is kind of weird because I'm trying to record my screen and do this at the same time. All right. So yeah, regional community hubs and ambassadors program. So what is this about? I'll get a little overview. This has been posted on the forum as well if anyone would like to go and check it out in terms of the more details. But yeah, without further ado, cut off here. So what is a regional community hub? So a regional community hub is a central location within a specific region or community that serves as a gathering place for various activities and services. So hubs are really designed to bring people together, which then offers a range of resources that could benefit the local community and helping to drive awareness of Bucket Network. So what is the goal? So really the goal of the hub is to establish a framework in regional communities, which allows the Pocket Network to better align itself to focus on specific regions, its culture, and to create local growth and outreach. For example, being able to speak their language. I think this is a pretty important part. If we wanted to scale across the world, we need to be able to really speak their own language. So what are the benefits? So it encourages collaboration and networking, which means that it helps to bring people and organizations together, which allows the creation of opportunities for additional collaboration and networking, which then will lead to new partnerships initiatives that can benefit the entire community. It fosters a sense of community, so it provides a space for people to connect, to share ideas, to work towards common goals, which then again helps to build a sense of community and belonging. The hub helps promote economic opportunities. So this helps to promote the opportunity by supporting local contributors, businesses, which tend to build on top of our protocol. It helps to increase the access to resources. So this then provides resources such as funding, training, support to local communities who may not have access to these resources on their own. So we're able to be more in terms of hands-on in the relationship. And the last one is facilitates communication and information sharing. So hubs can serve as the central point of communication and information sharing for their community, which then helps to ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards a common goal. For example, we can then share about our DNA more broadly and to make sure everyone is aligned on that. Oops, there you go. So hubs. So we do have launch hubs that are coming. So it's going to be 4 that we're launching with. So the first one is Africa. It's going to be led by Igbos. And he's actually been in communication with me for quite a while regarding the hubs, and he's a local community member that's actually based in Africa. So I'm pretty excited to have him on board. He's got a pretty extensive experience as well on running hubs for other protocols before. So I'm excited to have him on board. For Trans, it's going to be led by Deep Narrative and Bruce. So everyone knows Bruce, I believe. And yeah, I think they're going to do a great job. Bruce has been deeply involved with the Chinese community for a long time. And Deep Narrative, of course, has been helping out with the Chinese community as well, especially with the no running perspective. Latin America is going to be led by Weaver Notes. So it's also a no runner within our community, and they're based in Dominican Republic. So they wanted to help expand our language and what it is about in terms of Pocket to all of Latin America. And least but not last, we have South Korea, which is going to be led by Sung Hyun Lee, which is part of CoinEasy. I think you have probably seen him around as well, and as well as posting on socials on a Korean hub or Korean channel, actually. So he's already been doing some of the translations for our announcements and such on both Twitter as well as the unofficial Korea Telegram group, which then we're gonna be rebranding that to the hub Telegram group as well. So that would be launch hubs. So in terms of there we go. It's a little slow. So ambassadors. So what is an ambassador? So this is the person who brings valuable assets for Pocket Network with their visibility, building strong relationship with their audience, and create a positive image in the minds of the public. Pretty standard explanation. So serves as an advocate for Pocket Network and its DNA, supporting to promote the protocol, its product, services, and values to the public. So this one is more, of course, as an individual versus the entire hub. So what are the benefits? It increases brand awareness, which can help spread the word about our DNA, protocol, and services, which leads to increase in visibility, brand awareness, and helps attract more users and contributors to our ecosystem. It helps improve credibility and trust because it's able to speak positively about the protocol and increasing the credibility of trust that others have, which again brings more engagement. It has a greater reach because ambassadors can help reach a wider audience by sharing information with their own networks, which helps to connect with people who may not have otherwise heard about Pocket. It's a more authentic marketing as they can provide a more authentic and personal perspective on the protocol than traditional marketing channels. This will help, again, connect with people on a deeper level and help build a stronger relationship with its audience. So who are the starting ambassadors? So some of the names you probably are familiar with. They're actually been a deep part of Poketopus Army already. Jinx, of course, you all know. Annie Snow, Japan F44, and Thurled. And yeah, I think all four has been long-time community members, and they've contributed quite a bit over the years. So I'm excited to have them on board and help me set up this ambassador program and see where it goes. And again, just also emphasize as well this period for the next 2 months will be look at more as a experimental period for these programs because we wanted to take these changes to have a smaller group to focus on how the framework is set up for the programs, provide further feedbacks, and then to then make the programs better so that then we can launch it to a broader mass. We had a lot of applications for the ambassadors program because we actually got tweeted out by a TC influencer with over 10K followers. So we had a lot of applications. But to start, we wanted to have a core group that already known contributors within the ecosystem to start this so that we can gather more valuable contents and feedbacks and help to improve the program further. So, but for all those that has supplies, do feel free to stick around, learn more about Pocket. And yeah, I mean, if you become a contributor that are recognized, then of course, if you want to ever become an ambassador in the future, there's going to be chances as well. So yeah, that's really all I have for this one. So any questions? right. Doesn't look like there's any additional questions. So if not, that's really all I got.
This, but is this all active right now? Like the ambassadors you just showed, like they're currently ambassadors and they're out there ambassadoring.
Great question. So what we're actually going to do is start the programs in May, beginning of May, actually probably May 1st.
Oh,
So
got it.
yet. So yeah, we have everyone in place now to kick this off.
Awesome. Cool. So that's right around the corner.
Yep, it is. So crossing fingers, but I'm really excited for this. It's been a long time coming, so I'm excited
Oh,
to get this.
definitely. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I've been talking to you about this idea you've had since like last summer, I feel like. So it's really exciting to see it come to light.
Yeah, definitely.
Great work. So I'll be keeping an eye out on Twitter and other channels to see the ambassadors in action and see some of these events from the community hubs. Good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, with that being said, we do have a London event coming up too. So in case anyone missed that announcement, we do have a, community London meetup that are coming, and if anyone's interested, they can check the announcement channel for more details to join their event Telegram group. And yeah, have some fun, get connected with the local community in London, and yeah, I think it'll be really fun. I wish I can be there, but I'll be there in spirit.
Wait, what's the date? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think it's 11th. Let me double check.
Oh shoot, I'm gonna be in London on the 18th.
Oh, yeah, May 11th is the date.
All right. Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
We'll have
keep
we'll have
for that YC one.
Yeah, and
That's
if
all.
anyone else do have any suggestions for any other locations, let me know. I know Danielle, of course, has the meetup groups as well. Feel free to check those out, and if anyone's in those meetup groups that wants to start any events, feel free to reach out. We can plan something together.
Definitely. Ming, there's a question in the chat here from Pocket Blade. He's wondering
Yeah.
how are the ambassadors segmented by region?
How are they segmented? Right now, because we're just starting off, it's not it's not really segmented, but technically they are, because we have Japan, which is in the U.S., and Smith is in Europe, for example. So I mean, we will get a mix, hopefully, as in more regions and locations and communities within ambassadors as we ramp up the program. But yeah, we don't really currently have any limits per se of ambassadors from various regions. But I think as we scale, we'll probably have to start carving out depending on how many representatives we have per each region. Thank you. Any other questions? Right. If not, thank you all for joining. And yeah, really enjoyed this and looking forward to working with you all on these programs. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Ming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ming.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.